Hello guys, you know that the Russian media is really good at lying and manipulating the public opinion, but you cannot hide the truth from the Russian streets. And now, in many big cities of the Russian Federation, there are long queues of workers coming from different parts of the world, from India, Vietnam, Afghanistan, from the countries where people unfortunately still believe Russian propaganda, and they come to work on the oil refineries, military production sites, and help the Kremlin solve a serious labor shortage problem. All because they keep sending the Russian men on the front lines in the meat grinders and substitute them with foreign workers, whom unfortunately Putin cannot send to the front lines, and he uses them on these pretty explosive sides of the Russian military industry. But as you know, the Russian population is extremely hostile towards foreigners, and witnessing these queues, they do have a lot of questions to the Kremlin, to these foreigners, and this also proves the fact that the Russian Federation has already lost more than 1% of their adult male population on this failed blitzkrieg. And many disagree that the real number of their population is 140 million, and they claim it's way less because millions actually escaped Russia, fled Russia after Putin first tested this general conscription, and that's the reason why he fears to announce the second one, even though they don't have money in the Russian budget to buy more war criminals for the Russian army. And that is just one of hundreds of reasons why Ukraine will never agree on that capitulation proposal that was definitely written in the Kremlin and then delivered to the White House to try and pressure Ukraine to surrender. And I want to thank people in the European Union who stand together with Ukraine and people in the United States who disagree with the policy of the White House. And in this video, I want us to talk more about these serious demographic problems in Russia and also why Ukraine will not agree to give up our territories. My name is Anna, I'm from Ukraine, I'm in Ukraine, and if you want to see the defeat and demilitarization of Russia that has already started, please subscribe and share these videos to spread the truth and to protect your loved ones, your friends, your colleagues from this Russian disinformation, because it seriously damages our quality of life, mildly speaking. So let's begin with these internal problems of the Russian Federation. This country is big, but this country is very poor. Their GDP is small, it's uncomparable to the EU, it's uncomparable even to the GDP of Italy or Spain or just some US states. And they have a lot of demographic problems too. You may say, but Ukraine, well, Ukraine didn't choose this war. We fight to survive. That's an existential war for us, and we literally don't have a choice. We protect our homes, our schools, our future. And Russians, they do have a choice, and they choose to keep sending people to the meat grinders, to keep destroying their future from inside, and to substitute them with foreigners. Russia is extremely hostile to different cultures, and actually the doctrine of Ruski Mir, or the Russian world, tells a lot about how they treat other nationalities, even though that are native to the Russian Federation. That is one of the reasons why the collapse of the Russian Federation is a natural process that will only benefit all us and, contribute to the safety and security of this part of the world. But right now, Russians report that many oil refineries, military production facilities hire foreigners because they have serious labor shortage. They don't have people to hire. I actually think that one of the reasons may be many Russians who are more or less reading the newspapers or Telegram channels know that it's super dangerous to work on the oil refineries or military production sites because they constantly explode. There are some weird detonations of the Ukrainian drone debris, or someone always smokes. So that might be one reason. But the second reason is now the Kremlin wants to conscript everyone they can. They don't have money to pay people, so they try to seduce them, they try to trick them, they try to manipulate them And we see that more and more republics inside the Russian Federation half the payments that they previously were able to pay to this conscripts. And Putin is afraid to announce this like general mobilization without contracts because this will lead to millions more fleeing the country. And right now, with these shortages, labor shortages, they start inviting foreigners from India. That might be one of the reasons why Putin traveled days ago and had these photos with Modi, which make me feel very disappointed because we have, like photos of the ruins of Ukrainian kindergarten and people keep shaking the bloody hand of the Kremlin gobbling. But anyway, so people from Afghanistan, from Vietnam, from different corners of the world where they know very little about Russia, they equate it to the Soviet Union. Like it's so difficult to dismantle some of these stereotypes, positive stereotypes that they have, and they agree and they travel to Russia and then they get an extremely hostile environment with very bad labor conditions. Some of them actually end up on the front lines, but that is a different topic for a different video. And those who even stay on the offered positions, they experience very hostile attitudes of the locals, bad conditions of work, and also they somehow, why Russians are so angry, not only because they don't like foreigners, but also because these people, they prove serious problems with the demographic, serious problems with labor force. And now inside Russia, they speak about 1% of the adult male population already neutralized by Putin's special military operation. Their own people destroyed because of this total mismanagement and underestimation of Ukraine and like madness of Putin that now even their generals are talking about. But this is just like an evidence. No matter what media tells you, no matter how the Kremlin reports, you can see millions or hundreds of thousands of people coming to substitute the Russians who are constantly sent to the front lines, to the meat grinders, And here I won't continue because YouTube is too sensitive. But most of them end up in hell where they actually belong. And in this context, when we see the weakness of Russia, when we see the war crimes committed by the Kremlin regime against Ukraine and even against their own population, it's absurd and extremely disappointing to read that Trump is dissatisfied with Zelensky. Well, I can say Zelensky and me personally are dissatisfied with Trump. And the fact that he pushes the Kremlin agenda, that he pushes the plan developed in the Kremlin, and he does not show any respect to the brave people of Ukraine and the European Union leaders who are smart, well, better educated and more humane than most of his team. And I'm proud that today we see that the UK, that France, that Germany, and many, many more countries stay together with Ukraine, stand together with Ukraine. By the way, with this new strategy of the United States that the Kremlin loved, I believe more and more NATO leaders, EU leaders understand that we need to remain very close and very supportive to each other because now the White House is going through a very difficult, turbulent period, and we cannot rely on them. But why can't we give up the territories? First of all, this war is not about the territories. Putin already speaks he needs to fight with the European Union. It's about the authoritarian regimes and democratic regimes. Russia is the largest country in the world. They have enough territories. So no, it's not about the territories. It's about Putin's desire to destroy Ukraine as a country, then to destroy some other that were former Soviet republics. And I need to remind you here that even part of Berlin was once under Soviets. Because, first of all, Putin cannot get these territories militarily with all the efforts, with all the losses, with all the money. During these 4 years of the so-called Blitzkrieg, he cannot get these territories, so why would we give them to him? Just why should we give him a present after all these war crimes that he commits on a daily basis? And I think that no sane country can pressure Ukraine to do it, because it's actually a green light for other authoritarian regimes to continue doing similar things, because what you get is a prize, new territories. That's insane. No one adequate can offer an idea like that. First, then, third, no one in Ukraine will accept that. And I think that the main reason why Putin pushes this idea is to cause problems and conflicts inside Ukraine. If Zelensky would agree, he won't, but something like that. He hoped that this could lead to internal conflicts, one part of Ukraine saying, let's give up, the other part of Ukraine saying no. But we are super united. What Putin did, apart from seriously militarizing us, apart from enlarging his border with NATO when Finland joined, he extremely well united Ukraine against Russia. And also because during these years of war, of the full-scale invasion, we worked really hard to fortify these territories. All of the Ukrainian protector important areas are there. For example, Slovyansk, which Putin wants to get, is a big city. It's an agglomeration that offers perfect protection for the Ukrainian troops. And why would we give it all up, opening Putin window to more Ukrainian regions? Because it's pretty obvious he does not want peace. His task is to destroy Ukraine and then to go on with the Baltics, to go on with Poland, with Moldova, trying to restore the USSR 2.0 project. We know the truth, and we will never accept territorial concessions, because this war is not about territories, and because the war criminals, the aggressors, cannot be rewarded with the territories that otherwise they even cannot occupy. Let me know what do you think in the comments below. Also follow me on Anna Danilchuk channel and other social media platforms like X, Instagram, Blue Sky, Threads, Discord. The links in the description of this video, same as the link to our merch shop with lots of good presents for this season, including 2 calendars. One with beautiful sceneries of Ukraine that I hope one day you will be able to experience on your own, and the second tells about the most important Ukrainian victories, and I believe more to come in 2026. Thank you for buying me coffees, becoming my patrons and sponsors of the channels, and helping me film and tell you more about Ukraine. And trust me, it's super important to know the truth about Ukraine, about Russia, about the background of any negotiations, because the Kremlin is working hard to deceive you and to push you to surrender, to sacrifice Ukraine, hoping this would end the war. But no, our task is to remain strong, united, and to defeat and demilitarize Russia, because that is the only working peace plan. Thank you once again for standing with Ukraine. Slava Ukraini!